Hello, party people. It's finally over. I don't have to watch this anymore. I'm so happy. Also, I don't know if you're going to get aggro Ardent or affable Ardent more in this one. There's definitely going to be quite a bit of aggro Ardent. Oh, yes. But before I get started, let me just bring up my browser here. Oh, that's not the one I'm looking for. Oh, it is. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, so this is going to be the channel that I put my videos on going forward for the most part. It'll be ArdentPardy. The gaming channel is still going to stay there. I will still sometimes do streaming. Probably not going to announce them so much. You might get a bit of warning, like 10 minutes ahead of time, or less. The live streaming it's just not bringing the views. And, I mean, I have 260 followers on this account. I need to actually start making content for everybody instead of just a few. So, yeah, I want to see some growth on this channel. Speaking of, I do have 85 views from my first live stream on this channel. So, deeply appreciated. Thank you very much. If you are subscribed to the Ardent Plays channel, but not to the ArdentPardy channel, please go, or sorry, not subscribed. If you're not following, that will be this little green button up here. If you haven't hit that, please do. And with no further ado, but quite a lot of let's get into this. Okay, we don't need to have that in weird vision. Okay, so it is in fact the last episode of Spider-Noir Season 1. I don't care if they do a Season 2. I'm not having anything to do with it. Because Season 1... I'll save the big spoiler tool until towards the end here anyway. But moving into the first image we get for this show. Yeah. Gray, depressing. Yeah, feels about right. Rainy. That's pretty much to be expected. But it does lead into a pretty decent interplay between Flint and Megawatt, Sandman and Megawatt. I do apologize, I will be using these names interchangeably. But it does lead into a fairly good conversation between them in the back of the car. If you're desperate to watch this show, then I will try to leave a few things out. And I mean, there may be some massive comic book geeks like me out there who are willing to take a chance on it. I recommend against it, but I'm not you. I don't make your decisions. If you let me make decisions for you, then you need to start supporting me. In doing so, you can actually send some money over to the Ko-Fi. If you would like to support me, you can do best monetarily by going over to the Ko-Fi and flinging me a few bucks there. You can rant or subscribe on Rumble. Rumble takes about half of what you offer me. Ko-Fi takes significantly less. So, maybe you don't want to use Ko-Fi for some reason, and I understand completely. If you do support me on a monthly basis, I will absolutely put your name in the ticker with... I was going to say, why is my ticker so long today? Just 1 second here. Let me have a look at my ticker. Okay, no, it is what it is, and I have actually significantly shortened it. In any case, never mind. If you do support me on a monthly basis, I will definitely put your name down in the bottom line with Simon JJ and Sn1Ep8. There is also an anonymous supporter who obviously doesn't wish to be named, so they're named there, or more accurately, not named there, as they are part of the Orangutan Gang. As time goes on, I am going to be creating more merchandise. I want to put a little more energy into the Resolute, the comic book series that I posted about yesterday. Streamed about yesterday. Saturday. For the future, I am looking at taking Wednesdays and Sundays off, mostly because burnout is a thing, and I'm finding that things that I love to do outside of this, and don't get me wrong, I love doing this. I mean, I'm clearly happy being on camera. But as much as I love doing this, other things that I love and things that I need to get done are suffering from the, let's say, lack of work/online and life/real life balance. Yeah. Yeah. If you would like to support me without spending any money, you can like, share, comment, chat, follow, or subscribe, depending on platform. Remember, subscribing on Rumble costs you. And we had the aforementioned discussion about what that does for me as well. So, this is one of the... I think the note I left here for this one was, I think I'm going to miss this character the most. And I really, really did enjoy this character. Don't get me wrong, Megawatt is a lot of fun. Clearly that guy, that actor, Andrew something, his name escapes me, and I do apologize. I'm already repressing this, so that's how bad this show was. But the... how to put it? The characters I'm going to miss the most are absolutely the villains, which is, I mean, it's not unusual to enjoy the villains more than you do the heroes. The funny thing is that, well, that's another spoiler I'll leave till later. But, yeah, that was pretty much the only note I had here. I said that I might actually miss this character the most, and these two the least. Yeah. We'll move on, though. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there is a great scene of... well, this is another scene. These two proving my point yet again about the supporting cast being the bright point, the bright spot in this poorly written... dreck was the word I used. Because, well, I'm not sugarcoating shit anymore. I'm pretty much done. Yeah, this is... It's painful to watch this episode, having watched everything that's come before, because there is so much good camera work in this. So many well-framed shots. This, and it doesn't really translate super well in OBS, because it's a little darker than it should be. But, and that may actually be my fault on my own screen, but the tension... one of the most visually interesting shots of the show. It's got menace, there's nervousness, tension. Cage actually does a good job when he shuts his fucking mouth and doesn't really do anything. He does his best work. I remember, I think it was Stephen Fry on one of his QI episodes had said something about another director screaming, "Oh, stop, someone is acting here!" Yeah. It's amazing that Cage does his best work when he's not trying. Let me see. Yeah, and the soundtrack is doing yeoman's work here too. The soundtrack in this scene is absolutely note perfect. And remember, I don't always pay attention to the soundtrack during the actual episode. I tend to be a, hey, what's the song in the final credits, in the closing credits song guy. That tends to be my thing. The expressions on these two is pretty good. There's a bit of humor here, and it's pretty much the only real bit of humor in this entire episode, and it just doesn't land. Yeah, in fact, not only does it not land, it bombs harder than a Mitsubishi Zero pilot experiencing Fallot de Say during a perilously steep powered descent. If you got what that means, all I have to say is bonsai. That's a visual joke, because I had to make up for that shitty one. Okay, there is a genuinely good twist here, where Megawatt turns... well, he turns... I would say he has a heel turn, but he's very much a heel already. And there is a action sequence. Yeah. Remember, I did just praise the camera work a second ago, so this thoroughly deserves what I'm about to say to it. Hyperkinetic jump cuts. Obvious CGI. Yeah, when she pulls the trigger here, it is very clear that she's not actually in the same room with him. And when his squib goes off, at least I assume it's a squib and not just CGI. With the black and white makes it a little difficult to distinguish between practical and CGI, which isn't a bad thing if they're using CGI and it ends up looking like practical. If they're using practical and it ends up looking like CGI, that's not good. Yeah, obvious CGI. Lazy, oh my god, lazy stunt work. Yeah, by an actor who is clearly far past his best. Yeah, even this confrontation feels not just anticlimactic. Yeah, I had to go and hunt down new meanings for words that I didn't know. I had to go and look it up so that I could say anticlimactic and apoclimactic. That's how bad this is, in that it is doing more harm than good to the overall piece. Yeah, this wasn't just anticlimactic, it was fucking apoclimactic. Or apoclimactic. Yeah. Yeah. I had to go and learn new words to describe how much I despise this show. Next one. Weirdly, I have to give kudos in the midst of this continuing nightmare of a sequence. The bottle that you can see here, actually doesn't break when it hits Flint. Very much not Hollywood. It doesn't just not break against his head. Even the sound design of the impact it's legitimate. The thump. Yeah. Don't ask me how I know that's a real sound. It's kind of like that thing with Christopher Lee explaining to Peter Jackson what a man sounds like when he gets stabbed in the back. You don't really need to know how I know these things. Yeah. And then, of course, immediately from praise, we go right back to the fuck's sakes. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah, no. It's combination, actually. Praise and for fuck's sakes. Really, another extremely dramatic, dynamic shot, actually worthy of a superhero show. This shot here, and the way that, I'm pretty sure this isn't Cage, for the record, again, in this suit, but the way that this guy lands, his movements, everything, letter fucking perfect. And it's a 2-second sequence, maybe? But it's one of those things where there's so much shit, when you spot the diamonds, you really spot the diamonds. And it's only now, yeah, and this is with about 15 minutes left in the entire season. Like, I jumped a big chunk of the early part of this episode, because there really just wasn't anything worth, commenting on. Oddly enough, I have a very dense commentary for the end of this, though. This shot, I actually had a really interesting moment. I had to rewatch this shot a couple of times to figure out if I was actually seeing what I thought I was seeing. I'm not sure if this is meant to emulate the old projected image rolling by sort of deal, the trickery of the past, but in super slick looking modern media, it does fail. Because when you replay this, it's too good. Which I guess in some sense it's giving me an uncanny valley, in that the image through the windows looks so good that it's very hard to believe it's real. Partly that may be where I grew up watching shows where if you could see... a good example would be Live and Let Die. There's a scene in that where they're on a bus, and it's obviously a projection around them outside the bus. I'm so used to that, and I think that might be what's causing my reaction to this. I'm so used to that particular style of filmmaking, where it's obviously a projection, that this doesn't look real to me, even though it might actually be real. I don't think it is, but yeah, it does fail for me. 18, 19, and 20 go together. So, actually, more praise. This car is... Let me see if I can get my... There we go. Okay, so this car enters from this side, moving at a fairly good clip, heading this way. I believe it's... Yeah, Megawatt and the Spider are wrestling here. And he fires past this light post, between here in this gap, hits the car, which, of course, whips them off the ground and slams them into a marquee. This is a pretty creative sequence. It uses comic book physics and a mild appeal to the suspension of disbelief. Well done. And it is actually well done. That's the thing with this show. There are moments that are so well done that you go, wow, maybe the show's getting... No, it's not. It's still shit. It's just that mixed in amongst all that shit, there are some diamonds. Or potentially polished turds, I suppose. Yeah, and I said, well done, which of course leaves me lamenting yet again, where was this level of craft in the rest of the show? Why is it only... And really, it does seem that they upped their game a lot for this last episode. And I can't imagine why. Unless the reason they're doing it is because all they want is to make it look... like they're... Sorry, not to make it look... like they're just trying to draw viewers in with the potential of a second season, which I really hope this doesn't get, because it is that bad. And you're about to learn why shortly. Yeah, well, that's Megawatt put out of the fight for a little bit. Now he's got to deal with Sandman. You know how he does that? He smashes the guy with two cars that were literally parked separately on the street. He webs in two different directions and pulls them together against Flint, smashing him to bits. Literally bits. He turns to sand. Where the fuck was this level of strength earlier? You know, like when he was actually fighting Flint. Sorry, I keep wanting to call him Kane Marco. It's the Juggernaut. But where was this level of, power? Where was this ability earlier on when he couldn't jump out of the way of things or... Yeah. There's a very good reason for a lot of the inconsistencies. And it becomes very obvious later on. Speaking of inconsistencies, let's get on my soapbox. And I do apologize, but I have written a significantly long rant this time. The unbelievable levels of inconsistency in this series are epitomized in that single car slamming sequence. Where was that strength in any number of earlier scenes, even in this same episode, let alone the rest of the series? Yeah, no, I wrote 2 entire pages of rant for this. While I understand that not everyone is a comics fan, people do know how to spot bad work, unenthusiastic work, and that's what this is. There is such a low level of enthusiasm for doing a good job. What's the motivation here? Are these people so convinced that they will never lose their jobs? I got some bad news for you about AI, guys. That the writers just don't care? Or is the studio pushing them to do things that will make fans actively disgusted? I don't know. But to have this, or any character with this kind of raw physical power, and to not show it until a climactic fight, doesn't mean you wrote in a smart way. It means exactly the opposite. It means you hid some essential aspect of the character until it became essentially a deus ex machina. Precisely because you weren't clever enough. You weren't clever enough to make your villains challenging. All you did was say, well, we need him to be able to beat this villain at this point. Okay, well, let's make him super strong. We haven't shown that yet. That's not how... That is the opposite of Chekhov's gun. That is literally Schrodinger's gun. Is it there or isn't it? And in fact, I did say multiple times over the course of this series, I wonder why he doesn't seem to have the spider strength. Now we know. Yeah. Excuse me. It's a dirty trick. Sorry, I'm probably going to stutter over this word, but it's a prestidigitational pretext. I did that in 1. Fuck me. I'm cool. But yeah, I had to coin a phrase for it. It's such a bad way of writing. It's such a bad trick, a dirty trick, that it is a prestidigitational pretext. I can't believe I said that perfectly second time, too. Yeah, I'll probably never even try it again. And another thing, too. As well played as Flint and Megawatt are It is atrocious that the writers kept the spider strength a secret so long. It's not smart writing, it's cheap fakery. And real cinemaphiles know it. Yeah, let alone a comics nerd like me. Right? Somebody... Even if you've only ever seen one Spider-Man movie, you know the character always has superhuman strength. Whether it was the MCU Spider-Man who caught a fucking Volkswagen, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man who... What was his big... Well, he was wrestling with the lizard. Tobey Maguire... Jeez, that scene with the train, with the subway, or the L train, where Tobey is webbing everything to the side of the tracks and damn near kills himself doing it. Even Tom Holland's character holding together a ferry that's been cut in half. I mean, obviously the spider characters have super strength. So why pretend that they didn't? And then there's this. Jesus. Yeah. Why the hell is Kat, the expert manipulator, suddenly stalking Silvermane like she's some sort of assassin? Speaking of Deus Ex Machina traits, yeah. At no time in this show, at no time has this show shown her willing or able to get her hands dirty. Now I'm supposed to believe she's some sort of Black Widow analog all of a sudden? No, not happening. Yeah. I would sooner believe it from Janet. And it's mostly because of this scene. This is far earlier on in the episode, where Janet meets up with Kat. I did show that briefly. And slaps the living piss out of her twice. At no point does Kat actually smack back. Or at no point has Kat ever actually physically assaulted anyone in this show. Yeah. Also, that's another scene that doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And I couldn't care less. Yeah, I have more anger. Yep. Seriously, where was all this technical care the last 7 3/4 episodes? This is the last quarter of the episode. And, like, the camera work is getting amazing. This sequence in the Hall of Mirrors is so good. It is so good. However, and I did say, and another beautiful shot here, nobody is doing menace like this guy. I mean, Jesus, does that ever look good. That whole sequence, that whole shot, where he's drawing this dagger out of his knife, he just looks ready to kill. And it's so good. And then it immediately goes to shit. Because, of course, Kat has a gun. And even though she's fired a bunch of shots, yeah, she's still got a shot. Oh, wait, no, that's 28. Okay, yeah, so, I mean, another beautiful shot. Well framed. Then there's this. And I do apologize for the aspect ratio being fucky. Some of the software I used for screen grabs got fucky for a second. But you can see this time that there is actually a blast from the gun. And this is confirming CGI, by the way, because at no point did the hammer move, and the slide never moves either. And, yeah, with those nails, I wouldn't want to pull the trigger. But that, unfortunately, forces me to do this. Now I have to go back and hunt for every single gunshot she fired. So, that was the last shot she fired when she shoots Silvermane. Before that, she fired one shot in the club, one shot in the mirror, 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 one shot in the mirror. Yeah, problem with that is these guns only have 7 shots in the clip and 1 in the chamber, and she's already fired 8. No, wait, sorry. Hang on. Let me come back to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Yeah, and then she shoots him for 9. So even if the gun had 7 plus 1, yeah. No, that's, yeah. There's actually 2 bullets in this particular sequence, but it's so close together I couldn't get them both. Yeah. So it's 9 shots out of a pistol that maximum holds 8 shots. I had to go to IMFDB, and I owe thanks to Legacy Collectibles for this image. You can see the followers here, show 6 holes. That's because if you can see one in this hole, there's, yeah. It's a 7-round clip. Sorry, magazine. I know there are some people out there freaking out. I'm a bit of a gun nerd too, so don't worry. I know it's a magazine. But, yeah, we come all the way back to this. Where is 29? There it is. So now we're back here where she fires that. So that's her 9th shot. 9. Out of a gun that maximum can hold 8. Now, I'm willing to no prize this. And for those of you who don't know, Marvel used to do this thing where in the letters to the editor section, people would try to earn what they called a no prize. So you actually get no prize, but it's a no prize. Where if you can give a rational, believable, story-accurate explanation for an unexplained event, then, you get a no prize. Because it's good logic. Well, logic in science fiction land, I suppose. But, yeah. We come all the way up to here, where, of course, she has now shot him. Because, of course, she did. And, yeah, I'm left to say nothing other than, so now we know that she fired a total, an impossible total, of 9 times. Even if she had somehow procured a single shell, or cartridge, between firing in the club and leaving the elevator, her gun should still be out. So how the fuck does she even have a bullet left to shoot him with? And, I guess I didn't get the, no. Okay, I must have accidentally cut off the subtitle. The subtitle here says, frankly, my love, I'm glad it's you. Fuck what? Actually, this made me mad enough that in very large caps I wrote, fuck right off. This ruthless gangster, this man who faces down men who can literally throw fucking lightning bolts like ancient gods, this guy, you're telling me this guy's a fucking cuck? No. Not having it. Fuck right off. Actually, it's, go fuck yourself. Yeah, I don't like the writers of this show anymore, can you tell? Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, the writer's room Miss Andrea is peeking through here. Yeah, and I did say I'm shocked she didn't just spit on him. That look of disdain, right? Of course, oddly enough, there's still moments that are praiseworthy. For example, holy shit, they can actually honor the source material. That's Sandman reconstituting himself after being smoked with 2 cars. And there's a really good sequence a little later where he ends up fighting Megawatt. And they do the sensible physics thing where lightning turns sand to fucking glass. And then it kind of gets retarded, because apparently this is not supposed to be a mystical Spider-Man. Though it really should be, considering some of the absolutely magical shit that happens in this show. In point of fact, he's not actually panting here, he's grunting. And God, the voiceover still sucks ass. Let me see, 34, that would be this one. I mean, granted, I do bang on about comic book logic, and I do bang on about logic. So yeah, there's no reason whatsoever the Flint's clothes should have reconstituted with him. But, nobody wants to see, how did I put it? Yeah, the comic logic is being used as fine here, because I'm pretty sure nobody wants to see the sandcastle, if you know what I mean. Yeah. See. Oh, yeah. You need to pay attention to this section of the shot here. She rolls up and she says, stop, because Megawatt is about to kill Flint. Or possibly the Spider. I can't remember exactly which. Like I said, already repressing this shit. But I did say, Jesus, lady, how'd you get Clint Eastwood's version of James Bond's gun? Right? Because, she's pointing the gun like it's got bullets in it. Turns out, though, it just goes click. Because somebody in the writer's room is... how did I put it? Oh, yeah, one of the writers must GM for an HCAT campaign. If you know, you know. It's the Hong Kong Hong Kong Action Theater RPG. Yeah, if you've never heard of it, believe it or not, you've heard of it. Yeah, but Yeah. Then I had to ask this question. How the fuck is an antidote going to work on a guy who's been turned partly to glass? Because, you know, the spider gives her the last of the antidotes. Because of course he does. Because he's a cuck too. And of course, the last thing a modern hero gets is the girl, because it wasn't his story after all, it was fucking hers. The entire fucking show was this bitch's fucking story. She was the protagonist the entire time. We just happened to be following one of the minor characters. You know, the superhero in a superhero fucking show. Yeah, minor character. Yeah. Also, I had to ask, what is this half green screen fucking shit? Because you can tell that, like, you can really tell with this. But this entire segment behind him, this is obviously green screen behind these two, up to this wall. So whatever's going on back here, it's not real. Why? Like, I honestly, for the life of me, I don't know what Greg Yaitanes was thinking. That's the director for this episode. And, yeah, and will somebody please teach the director how people wear hats. Because at that angle, his hat is facing like this. This was another attempt to, let's see if we can do a really cool shot here. Yeah, you didn't. You failed. You should have cut that out of the dailies and just had Nicolas Cage put the hat on like a normal human being and walk away. But no, you couldn't fucking do that, could you? You were so proud of the bullshit you pulled. Ugh. Speaking of bullshit, what the fuck is this? Riley and Ruiz? Private investigators? Are you fucking shitting me? What the fuck training does she have to be an investigator? Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't help but put what the absolute fuck in the corner. Okay, done with that. So we'll move on to the cast. Greg Yaitanes was the director. Uziel was one of the writers. But, you know, it's probably these two who were doing the writing, for the most part, the lion's share. Didn't bother to count producers this time, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 producers again. Why? That doesn't speak well for your show, guys. Let's see. Well, since this is the last episode, I will go through this and tell you what actors I think you should watch, because either A, they're good, or B, they're new, and they probably will be good. But before I get to that, let me give you my overall rating. It's a great show to watch as a tutorial in inconsistency and low effort. Needless to say, I don't recommend this show. I think it was absolute shit, and that feels so good. Now, let me make sure I'm recording, because that could have happened. But we'll go through and we'll talk about some of the main cast here. Okay, Nicolas Cage, passed it. Nick, you need to stop doing big things. You need to start taking small roles again. Look for something like Moonstruck again. Get that guy back. Lamorne Morris, maybe if you'd had better script to work with and didn't have to say things like, hey, you seen this big black motherfucker? In the middle of the 40s, 30s. Yeah, might have been better. Lee Jun-Lee, dear God, I've never seen a human being so dysgenic who's supposed to be beautiful. She's not. Karen Rodriguez, I have no time for her. Abraham Papoula, Lonnie Lincoln. He was actually pretty good. Jack Houston was friggin' good. Brendan Gleeson, I mean, guys, seriously. How much good can I say about Brendan Gleeson? Andrew Lewis Caldwell. I need to have a look at his filmography and see what he's done, because I have a suspicion he's been acting for a while. And he's got 68 credits as an actor. He's got 1 as a director, 3 as a writer. Let's see what his earliest stuff is. Episodic TV, obviously. And at the bottom, he was in The Pickup Artist, The Bernie Mac Show, as a wrestler, Medium, Tenacious D. Oh, I've looked at these before, I think. My Name is Earl. Transformers, as the Cafe Kid. Avatar. I think I saw Drillbit Taylor, but I don't really remember it. American Dad, I guess he did some voices. Let's see. Anything here that I know? How I Met Your Mother. Nothing I'm terribly familiar with. 73 episodes of Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja. He was doing a voice. Okay. Filthy Preppy Teens. The Archer. MFA, iZombie, American Vandal. American Vandal. Oh no, that was a TV series. I was thinking it was a movie. The Librarians. I'm going to have to watch that at least some point. I've never watched it, and I know it looked good. Let's see. The Matrix Resurrections. I still have no interest in watching that. And Spider-Noir. So he does take time off between projects from the look of it. Which, I mean, smart. Assuming it's intentional. But, you know, he was definitely one of the better, one of the more enjoyable actors in this show. Let's see, Michael Kostroff. Okay, so let's go back and just go to the overall cast and crew for this this show and see how many. Well, look at how many writers there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different writers. And most of the writers, if not all of them, are also considered producers. Let's see, where are we here? Jack Houston, Brendan Gleeson, Scott MacArthur Perry. I don't remember him. Don't remember Pudge. Oh, actually, those are probably the two goons. They were okay. Lucas Haas. I made quite a big deal about Lucas Haas as well. Let's see, who else is in here? Addison, barely there. Dr. Faber. Amy Aquino is a known name, so yeah, not much of a shock. Andrew Robinson. I mean, I really want to see Andrew Robinson in more stuff. I thought it was very good. Kai Castor. He played the young version of the character that Andrew Robinson played. I would keep an eye on him, because I suspect if he hasn't done a pile of stuff, he's going to be in a pile of stuff. What else are we looking at here? Actually, let's open Kai Castor and have a quick look. I don't think there's anybody else I really want to highlight that badly. No, and I kind of have to hurry up because I have a thing to do this evening that I can't miss. I don't recognize any names here. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at Kai Castor's filmography here. He's already got 32 credits. That's impressive. Let's see what we've got here. Going back to 2007, he was in the Children of the Corn sequel. House of Lies, seems like I've watched some of that. New Girl, I watched at least one episode. I don't know if it was the episode he was in. American Horror Story, I've never bothered to watch it. I'm not a fan of horror movies for the most part, or horror stuff. Smiley Face Killers, same deal. I cannot believe they did a new Magnum P.I. and it was so trash. Female fucking Higgins, what were you thinking? Let me see, what else is here? Dutton Ranch, of what I've seen of this particular actress, looks good, but I'm not a big fan of that sort of serialized, almost soap opera ranchy stuff. Seems to appeal more to my mother. But Dutton Ranch, from what I understand, is a new spin-off, so I don't know. Maybe down the road I'll get around to watching them. If you want a recommendation for a Western series that I absolutely loved, Hell on Wheels. It was far better watching it back to back to back to back, like watching it as a binge, than it ever was as an episodic series. So, yeah. Okay, for the trivia. We will start here at the bottom. The shootout in the Hall of Mirrors is an homage to The Lady from Shanghai. I don't care. During the climactic street fight near the end, the theater marquee in the background advertises the musical Roberta starring Tamara and Bob Hope. Okay, don't care. Also, during the climactic street battle, Megawatt recites lines from Shakespeare's Hamlet as he transmutes the Sandman into glass that then shatters, delivering the passage, "Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest." That's from Act 4, Scene 2 of the tragedy, spoken by Horatio over Prince Hamlet, yeah. The quotation pairs the villain's theatrical sensibility with the visual spectacle of the Sandman. Really? He wasn't crystallized, he was turned to glass. There's a difference. And he didn't actually kill him. But whatever. The choice fits the season's pulp noir register, which blends 30s period dialogue with literary and theatrical flourishes drawn from the era's popular adventure fiction. No, see, the popular adventure fiction of the time was stuff like Edgar Rice Burroughs, which nobody in Hollywood would ever manage to quote because they've never read him, because he's an old white guy. Yeah, nice fucking try. I don't see Princess of Mars quotations coming up in this show. Anyway, that is finally the end. We are finally, totally, and utterly finished with Spider-Man Noir, or Spider-Noir. I deeply appreciate everybody who has given me support for this, so thank you all very much. Let me know in the comments if you have something you would like me to look at in the future. Please do consider supporting me, either by subscribing, liking, sharing, following, depending on platform. Again, subscribe on Rumble. I'll lose about half of it. Follow me, support me monthly on Ko-Fi. I get way more. Support me monetarily by going over to the Ko-Fi and flinging me a few bucks. If you do that on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, you will in fact go in the ticker with Sn1Ep8 and Simon J. I almost said Sn1Ep JJ and Simon 7. Simon 7 sounds like an interesting name for a clone character. But anyway, we'll move on. Other than that, folks, I'm very glad that this 2-month-long nightmare is finally over. And I'm looking forward to the next few days doing the July is White History Month streams. I will do streams. Though tomorrow will be a Terra Nova Tuesday. Wednesday will probably be the White History Month stream. I don't know that I'm going to find enough content that isn't connected to my use of the hashtag, that it'll be anything new for most people who follow me. So, yeah. If you want to follow me elsewhere other than on Rumble, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Gab and Substack and X. I have actually deleted my Getter account. I was getting nothing but bot interaction over there, so 'tis what 'tis. Yeah. Other than that, I'll just sign off with, I hope you're... Good God. I'm so tired. It's been a long, long week, and it's only going to get longer. In any case, folks, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye. Oh, I did say if you have an idea for other things you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments. Tag me on X. Smack me around in the posts on YouTube. Not really into that stuff, but you can try. Anyway, take it easy, folks. Bye-bye.